Welcome back to another episode of Soul Driven with Steph. I can't wait for you to meet today's special guest on our podcast interview. We have recently connected, and I feel like we are longtime soul sisters. We have a lot of similarities and just our philosophy about life, about business. And I'm really excited for us to have this conversation and for all of you to get to listen. So please welcome to the podcast, Maddison Koper.
Hello, Miss Steph. So good to be with you this morning. I'm super excited that we have been able to connect and connected deeply with you.
Yeah, totally. I think you just kind of know your people sometimes, the vibe, the energy. We met on another kind of group call and kind of took the conversation into email and trying to figure out ways that we can connect. So you're out of Arizona.
Yes, ma'am.
And, across the country, but we have so many similarities. So take us through your origin story. Did you always know that you wanted to be a lawyer? And what kind of led you down the path of entrepreneurship?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So I feel like I'm really rare in the sense that I did know exactly what I was meant to do in life when I was 13 years old. 13. I said, I'm going to be a lawyer. And I wouldn't let anybody, I was manifesting before manifesting was even a thing, because I wouldn't let anybody say oh, that's cute, you want to be a lawyer. I'd say, no, I'm going to be a lawyer at 13. I decided I wanted a job where I could talk a lot, dress cute, and help people. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it's real. And I literally had been saying that since the time I was 13. And it's what I get to do today. I talk a lot, I dress cute, and I help people. And that's I feel like my philosophy and the thing that I've been working towards from such a young age. I got into law school at 23. So that was my 10-year plan. And at that point, I was kind of just okay, wow, everything I had been working towards has come. I'm going to be a lawyer at this point. I've gotten into law school. That's the last checkbox kind of to becoming and getting into the career that I've always been working towards. And through law school, I don't know why I didn't think I would open my own firm and go straight into the path of entrepreneurship, because I've always walked my own path and paved my own way, literally always. It wasn't until about halfway through law school when I had my kind of 2L crisis, which a lot of people experience midway through their professional degrees of what am I doing here? That everything kind of shifted for me into deciding and knowing that I needed to open up my own firm and serve and shine my light in the way that I felt most called to, which was through Sunshine Law Firm. So after law school was started, I started my company, Life Coach Lawyer, which is where I coach people and counsel people, and then transitioned the law firm side of it into Sunshine Law Firm, which is what I do now.
I love it. And I think sometimes we just have that calling on our heart that we just know this is the path for us. And I mean, I even felt that way with teaching. I knew on some level I wanted to be a teacher. And so, you kind of start down the path. And then, yes, I agree. Somewhere in the middle, you question which direction you want to go from your initial dream. And then, following that intuition, you start to become even more that version of yourself that you decided you want to be, and to have those options. I think that was the biggest thing for me was, choosing to become a traditional teacher in education or becoming a fitness and yoga teacher, in which I could create my own schedule and have my own business and brand, and just the freedom and the flexibility that I think draws so many people to entrepreneurship. But I'm sure there's been challenges along the way, right? So how long have you had your own firm? And really, what was the inspiration behind the name Sunshine Law Firm?
Sunshine Law Firm. Thank you. Yeah, definitely lots of intuition that brought me to hear how Life Coach Lawyer, which was the original base point of the brand, which I started last June, actually got this all lines up. So bear with me as I go through the pieces of the story. So I actually got my license. So you take the bar. I took it in February last year, I guess, and it takes months to get your results back. I did not get my results back for 3 months. I passed, hallelujah, it was a blessing, because it's really hard to do. And then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait until your state gives you your license. And I actually got my law license, to actually officially be a lawyer on the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. And I am solar powered, like 100% solar powered. I live in Arizona, thankfully, where it's sunny, more often than not, by far. And like, I thrive in that. So sunshine's just a huge part of my life. And actually, it was during a yoga class with this organization that I'm now on the board of directors for. Obviously, like everything is meant to be so, so very much. So now I'm on this board of directors for this organization called We Are Viking Yoga here in Arizona. And that's where the Sunshine Law Firm name came to me. So I started Life Coach Lawyer. It was my coaching business. It was my law firm. It was all in one. And I quickly realized that I need to kind of space things out and create some more space and separate my face from the law firm. Like Life Coach Lawyer is me and my personality page, and my law firm needed to be separate so that it could grow without me. And so I'm in this yoga class. It was outdoors. It's beautiful. We kind of do this like funky, wild, like EDM style music in this yoga organization. Like the founder of it, he's a DJ, like an EDM
Cool.
trap DJ. So he like makes these wild playlists. And it was like in the middle of that Sunshine Law Firm came to me. A lot of people were telling me like, oh, just open like, Koper Law Firm or like Maddison Koper Law Firm or something so generic and basic, but I don't do anything generic and basic. So those
Yeah.
things were just like not landing with me. The only idea that had like any stick to it was something related to like my last name in law firm, because I told my husband and he was like, yeah, let's do that one, because I took his last name obviously when we got married. So he's like, yeah, let's do Koper Law Firm. And I was like, it's just like not really sticking with me. So I was just like open and receiving to whatever name was to come. And literally in the middle of a yoga class one day, I like, boom, it dropped in. I stood up at the end of class, like told my friend next to me, like, I just came up with the name of my new law firm. It's Sunshine Law Firm. And like, I got the brand, the logo going. My logo for Life Coach Lawyers, 3 triangles, balancing life coach and lawyer, 3 triangles in a row. And so I used that same thing to kind of create the sun that's around my Sunshine Law Firm logo. So it all beautifully came into place with a little bit of intuition and openness and receiving. And it always comes whenever you're open and
Yes.
receiving to things like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I loved it before I knew the inspiration behind it. Now I love it even more. That it happened on, just the day of the year with the most amount of sun, and that you
Yeah.
are solar powered. I also really love that you mentioned how you had this realization that you wanted to build your personal brand separate than this law firm, this business.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how do you do that? Because I think that's so important for entrepreneurs to not build their identity around a business that
Mm-hmm.
they might not do forever, and they eventually want to pivot, or they want to pull people into that business, and they don't want to be the face of it, but they still need a personal brand to
Right.
grow, evolve, and be able to take on different evolutions of their business too.
Yeah, absolutely. So with being a lawyer too, specifically, and this goes well for any other professional, maybe therapists, counselors, any other professional that is like obligated to abide by rules of ethics. I just knew that I wanted to have much more freedom than just being a lawyer on Instagram that has a lot of rules and ethics that I have to like abide by and be careful by. And I felt really restricted whenever I first did it under Life Coach Lawyer. And so that's in part of the reason why I was like, I need to separate this, because I feel restricted, and you're never going to be your best self and shine your brightest if you're feeling limited and restricted. So I needed to find a way to kind of like unlock myself from those restraints. So Life Coach Lawyer is a place for me to just give advice. People want to pay me to give advice. So I created an area and like a business to where I can do that, and that personality page on social media to where I can just show up however I am. I can give a little bit of life. I can give you a little bit of coaching, and I can give you a little bit of lawyer stuff too, just to kind of like bring it all together into like a home base. And then having that separate law firm that is my professional entity, I can pull myself away from it. I'm still like obviously the most face forward in that business, but the intention is for it to grow and for me to kind of have a home base for other attorneys to come to, and for me to slowly be able to back away as the work continues to build to those other attorneys. And I just really wanted a space to do that, and not have to be like, if you want to work with my company, you are calling me, because that just keeps you so rooted to your business. And the point of being an entrepreneur and the point of having your own businesses is to be free. At least for me. That might not be everybody's point, but for me, the point is to just ultimately be free from any like obligation, I guess. So yeah, and then it was funny because on the day that I launched Sunshine Law Firm officially, it was actually my birthday. I launched my lifestyle brand, which is called Mad Hippie, and then the law firm. So now I have the three businesses which make up life coach and lawyer.
Mhm.
And on that day, I ran into a guy in the spa. Actually, I was talking to his wife because it was her birthday too. So we were like vibing out about being Capricorns and like having like the same kind of energy, like sharing a birthday. And they were talking to me about how they had just sold their business. And he said to me, the worst thing he ever did was make himself the face of the business because that meant he was working all the time. And I was like, I literally started my law firm today to eliminate that problem in my life. So thank you for reinforcing and validating that was a great choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give yourself, yeah, not only the freedom to step away from that business, but to sell it in the future, by
That
not
too.
having your name specifically attached to it
Mm-hmm.
too. I think that's really, really important. And let's just touch a little bit on, because I know building community is another really important piece to you in business and in life, and we connect over that as well. First, I want to ask you about like your Sunshine Law Firm is obviously drawing on a very unique type of lawyer, right? And I love that you are just authentically yourself. Like, this is who I am. You know, you can come work with me if you want this in your lawyer, or there's plenty of other, no offense, probably boring lawyers out there who, are just not necessarily the type of people that an entrepreneur is going to vibe with.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a female, which I think automatically kind of makes you less intimidating in the way that the traditional lawyer were intimidated by that. We've
Mm-hmm.
maybe had negative experiences with men in a certain expertise or level of position or power that we go into those meetings feeling kind of um, dumb, for lack of a better word, of asking the questions that need to be asked in order to protect our business. So I love that you're drawing on this Sunshine Law Firm of really like calling on and pulling in people that are in law, that are like you or like-minded, that also want to make it more not only fun, but just probably more approachable than maybe your
Right.
traditional lawyer. Could you tell us how maybe that's intentional, or your vision for that?
Yeah, 100%. You're spot on. Like the point of Sunshine Law Firm. So it's Sunshine Law Firm, legal solutions with a brighter perspective. And I basically in law school, kind of in that 2L, mid 2L crisis, quarter life crisis, uh, I was burnt out already, already in the legal industry. And so I pulled back and meditated literally every single day and I went inward. And that's when Life Coach Lawyer came to me. Literally, it was like 11:30 p.m. I'm in that like half asleep state. And I'm like, this is it. And I got up and I wrote it down. And I didn't really know what it was to become yet at that point. But it came to me and I was like, this is it. And I'm going to strike on it. So in that process, I started doing a lot of research on lawyer well-being and burnout and the stressors in the legal industry and just how like toxic it really was. Um, it was sad to see. So all the research turned up like, high levels of depression, anxiety, suicide, just like all of these issues that were just plaguing lawyers that were working in the legal industry. The burnout rate was about 7 years. So what I found was that lawyers would go to school for 7 years because you go 4 years undergrad, 3 years of law school, and then they would work in the legal industry for about seven more, and then they would just quit. They couldn't do it anymore. They would quit. And honestly, I felt like the ones that did quit and like got control of their lives were the lucky ones. They were the ones that made it out. So a big part of why I started my own business was to avoid that nonsense. And I came up with this whole approach because I don't talk about problems without talking about solutions as much as I possibly can. I came up with a solution. And so digging into the research, I started studying other industries. I started looking at organizational psychology and some of my favorite thought leaders like Adam Grant, Brene Brown, and just like different expertises that could be drawn into the legal industry. And I created this thing called holistic lawyering. And that's what I do. That's how I practice at Sunshine Law Firm. It's bringing that advisor role and that counselor role first and foremost, not just being the hired gun, not just being I'm not a litigator, but like somebody that like is there to fight. Like I think when people think of a lawyer, they think of like defenses and like, you know, somebody that's going to battle for you and a hired gun. Like that's like a common term. And hopefully they think advocate. That's really important too, of course. And they should think advisor and counselor. And literally the symbol for attorneys is balance. For the courts, it's literally a scale, right?
Yeah.
And I want that. And so that's what I decided to bring my focus towards, and just understanding how to do that as an attorney. And trust me, I have hard days too, where it's hard to kind of keep that perspective, because the job itself, just what we have to do, you know, can be very adversarial. But I try and limit that in my practice as much as possible and just be proactive and be there to support my clients. And then in the long run, teach other attorneys this holistic approach so that they can be happy, healthy lawyer serving happy, healthy clients. That's the ultimate goal.
Yes. Okay. I love this. And we were just talking today on a Sister Circle call about how certain industries have these almost just like built in levels of expectation of how you're going to work and what, you know, it's just going to take over your life. And that's just the way it is. And it's worth it for the
Oh,
money. And like, no, like I don't
no.
want that either. And I really, truly think that you can change the game. And even if you're not making a huge, you know, you don't need to change the way every other lawyer or attorney does business. Obviously, they're going to keep doing what they want to do. But for the select few that want or start to see that burnout and want the longevity and the lifestyle that allows them to actually enjoy their life alongside their work, which I think most people 30 and under at this point really value, more
Mm-hmm.
than maybe past generations have, like that's just not going to cut it. So how do we do business differently than maybe every other person in the industry? And I know that I feel that too in real estate. Like it can just be so demanding, and, you know, it can take over your entire life. It's weekends, it's nights, it's daytimes, it's all times of the day and night if you
Mm-hmm.
let it be. Or you
Right.
create some of those boundaries and you just get really clear on the type of clients that you want to work with and that you want to serve. And ultimately, my goal is to help people build a lifestyle they love. That shouldn't be at the cost of my own lifestyle, right? So if
Right.
that's the goal, then I need to be in alignment with that. So I just love that you saw that from the beginning, you know, before you even finished school,
Yeah.
because I'm sure there's a lot of people that get into the career and it's maybe too late for them to kind of pull back from
Yeah.
because they are so burned out.
Right. And, you know, I'm really fortunate that I feel like a gift that I have is just paying attention to what people say. I really believe that that wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes and their, you know, wins as well, of course, and then of course your own wins and mistakes. And I got a lot of pushback from being 13 years old, you know, this like cute little girl, like I'm going to be a lawyer someday. And people were kind of negative about it. And so I kind of had this chip on my shoulder of like, well, no, like I am going to be a lawyer. I'm dedicated to doing this and I'm going to do it my way with my personality, showing up first and foremost and doing it the way that I believe it should be done. I think being a lawyer is like incredibly powerful because you have the opportunity and the privilege to help people. That's why I went into it in the first place, is because I wanted a tangible way to make a difference in the world. And as an attorney, you just have a lot of authority. You just do. And you have a lot of tools and resources and knowledge to be able to make stuff happen.
Mhm.
And you get to be the person that you get to be. I always like really want to emphasize that you don't have to be. You get to be the person that people call and ask for help. You're not your life's not full of problems. You get to deal with other people's problems and be, you know, a little bit of a remedy in their life and their experience. And so it's just super important that people, you know, see that and then do something about it. And the other part of it too is with that like pushback that I got as I was growing up, like I was just like determined to not sell my soul. That's kind of like a phrase that I would stick to and that I would see like happening. And I've seen so many people, because I went to law school and I have like lots of friends who did do it, and I feel so bad for them because you can see how it weighs on them. And no, the money is never worth it. Never. And I have so many friends calling me now a year out of law school and they're like, or 2 years out of law school, I guess. And they're like miserable. They're just so burnt out already. And they're just like, nobody treats me well. And I just get like talked down to. And I'm just somebody else's little bitch, basically. And I'm like, I can't relate. I did not want to be a part of that, even for a big fat paycheck in the beginning. Like I was willing to put my head down and take the leap of faith on myself and bet on myself in order to have the guarantee of a happy life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. And that just like self-awareness of what you value. It sounds like that's something you've really tried to stick to, like even amongst the temptations to, yeah, maybe go after the money or, do
Mm-hmm.
the easier path sometimes than, starting your own firm, I'm sure. But when you can really take that intentional time to tune in to yourself and what you really want and value, it will never lead you down, astray. Even amongst challenges, you will have so many learning lessons from those. So, yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree.
let's
And
talk
I like what you
about.
said about boundaries too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Boundaries are huge. And that's something I think, yeah, we just continue to learn and build over time. And they shift and change, just like every season of our life is going to be a little different, knowing what we need and what we need to step away from. Let's talk a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about your new business you launched, Mad Hippie, and what that is. I love the name. I love the energy around it. And then how do you balance all of these different facets of yourself and ultimately different brands and businesses?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mad Hippie is so fun. I launched Mad Hippie and Sunshine Law Firm on the same day, actually, which was my birthday, in January. And so they're both evolving and growing in so many different ways and pretty quickly, honestly, which is really exciting. And like, you can't ever slow down the moment to something that's meant to be, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should just go with the flow. So luckily, my husband came on board to work fully with our companies. And so he's like hands on with Mad Hippie, helping me grow that. So that's a big part of how I balance a lot of this stuff. Because honestly, if life didn't happen and he ended up working with my companies, like I don't know if I'd be able to sustain all of the things. But now that I have his help fully, we literally work like desk to desk, like facing each other. And so he's helping me manage everything, and it's definitely helping me keep my head above water. And some days are definitely hard to balance. Some days there isn't the balance, and
Yeah.
then 2 weeks from now I'll take a whole long day off to rejuvenate and
Yeah.
recover. But Mad Hippie, I am super excited about. I basically took the life portion of Life Coach Lawyer and created a tangible product and kind of like a new brand. So Mad Hippie, just like all the other facets of my business, is about balance. It's that Maddison energy. So it's mad with two D's. That Maddison energy, which is just like fun, fiery, fierce, like high energy, extroverted, like whatever being mad means to you. And then being a hippie, like I'm also zen and chill and a yogi and like here to vibe out and just relax and go play in the woods and like enjoy the nature and sunshine. And so like I'm both. And I want everybody to be both. I want everybody to have that balance in their world and in their lives. And then I wanted a tangible product through an e-commerce business to create passive income to share with the world. So I'm super creative, and like I kind of came into that a little bit before I started my own businesses to kind of like get my toes in the water, but then I really started to enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it. And so I did all my own branding for my other businesses, but I had like all these ideas. So I wanted to turn them, like I said, into like an actual tangible product. I have all these fun sayings. I literally just launched the shirt that says I'm solar powered. And it's like so fun to be able to do that and to have that creative outlet, and then to also be able to have another hand in the businesses that my clients themselves are running. Like I have so many different perspectives of being a business owner, and that always adds to my ability to be a good lawyer or coach for my clients themselves. So Mad Hippie is super cute, all e-commerce, to where it will eventually turn into passive income beyond just like marketing and Instagram and stuff like that. And it's super fun to have that creative outlet. So that's what Mad Hippie is all about.
I love it. And tell us about your pop-up Pilates classes
Mm-hmm.
that kind of coincide with that too, because I was like, oh, that's so fun. I come from, that was my 10 years worth of teaching fitness and yoga and different kind of movement style classes. So I love that you've incorporated that as just a fun additional bonus, really, to build community.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of came about in like multiple ways. I feel like I know so many cool people. I'm like, I know so many awesome people that could benefit each other that I'm always trying to connect. Just building out my Rolodex is like a hugely important part in being an attorney. It's just having a list of people that can help each other, kind of like your community. And I also didn't ever get to teach my friends my Pilates because I teach at a time that like is in the middle of the workday sort of. And so like a lot of people who have regular jobs like couldn't come. So it was like a combination of like, I just want to teach my friends and I want to get all my cool people together in a room. And I'm like, well, I'll just kind of start teaching Pilates for people. And we have this amazing space at our house called the shop. And Mad Hippie is Mad Hippie. It's a vibe in itself. And my Pilates class is very balanced. I teach Pilates because I love breath work, and it's as close as I can get to yoga without turning yoga into work, like I've done with everything else. So like I'm
Yeah.
leaving yoga like mine and mine alone. So I teach Pilates, and it's great, and it's a little more high energy and rowdy, and I can have a little bit more freedom. And yeah, Mad Hippie Pilates in the shop was born. I taught the first one without it being Mad Hippie related. And then I was like, well, actually, this is an incredible opportunity to bring it all together
Yeah.
and build out that community, have a little more intention with it being part of the business, sell some shirts, create some like specialty, vibe around the actual experience. So yeah, we teach Mad Hippie Pilates in the shop every first Sunday of the month. It's just a recurring thing that we've got rolling. We'll see if we go through the hot Arizona summer because it'll probably be 120 degrees in the shop mid-July. So we will see if we roll through the summer. But otherwise, we've had great success with it so far. We want to keep it free as long as we possibly can and just like truly have it as an opportunity to build that community. It's so energizing to have a room full of beautiful, happy, healthy, peaceful people. I need that energy
Mm-hmm.
so much. And so it's a, giving and receiving. And I'm always just so grateful to have all my people around me and new people too that
Yeah.
also need to be in that space.
Yeah, I love it. It might be
Thank you.
hot, Mad Hippie Pilates in the but it sounds
Really hot.
so fun. I used to teach a class that I created called Sculpt, and it was very similar. It was like not yoga, but we were using like light hand weights and kind of a Pilates style and fun music. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
like to keep the yoga, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so many fun things that you have in the works and moving forward. What does what does working with you look like? If someone was just curious, like for each business, you probably have an ideal client. Tell us what those would
Mm-hmm.
be and what working with you would look like.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So first and foremost is the law firm, Sunshine Law Firm. Basically, anybody who's an entrepreneur or a small business owner that needs LLCs, so getting everything up and running, getting like calling somebody from the beginning and saying, hey, I have this idea and I want to bring it to life. You call me and I make it happen. Contracts, so providing support for business owners who are already in business, and then trademarks, which is really for both groups, either somebody new or somebody who's been in the works, to protect their brand. I have flat fee packaging, or we just do hourly work together. I give everybody a free 30-minute consultation because I want to build a relationship. It's not meant to just be transactional.
Mhm.
Having an attorney is meant to be a long-term relationship. Like you
Yeah.
have a business attorney for the entire time you have a business, and you want to have that person to be able to call, and it's a trusted advisor. And you don't want to have to shop around a bunch of times. So I give everybody that time to just see if we're a good fit together. So yeah, anybody who's an entrepreneur, small business owner, call me if you need any support from getting it started to keeping it just aligned with all the support that you need legally. And then with Life Coach Lawyer, I specialize in working with other attorneys, but I have had lots of outreach for just individuals who want to work with me. I've taken people personal shopping. I just do 1 hour coaching calls every once in a while. teach people mindfulness, time management, confidence, just whatever they need to feel better. I'm here to support them. I have that health and wellness background from being a fitness instructor for years, a little bit of nutrition pieces that can come into it. Like I've got all the pieces to help anybody build a more balanced life and experience for themselves. I really believe that having a mentor or a coach is just incredibly important to, having that accountability and support, especially
Mhm.
as a business owner, being able to talk to somebody who's been through what you've been through in many ways, or maybe something similar. And so I have that as an opportunity to just support people. My job as an attorney is to give advice, to be straightforward, to be straight up, to be real and direct. And so that's what I get to do with Life Coach Lawyer. And then Mad Hippie is for everybody, anybody and everybody. So it's like a low price point product for everybody. There's fun t-shirts and what other products we have, like hats, and I have a puzzle for like a quality time gift for people. Everything's made with intention. I think they're really fun gifts for people. And so you can find all of those things and all of those options on my website, which is lifecoachlawyer.net. We've got Mad Hippie, the coaching services, and the law firm services for everybody. I've got something, basically. I've got an offering for literally everybody.
Cool. I love it. So, what would you say? Let's specifically talk to the small business owner
Yeah.
from the lawyer side of things and, creating boundaries and protecting your business. What would you say are some of the most important contracts or pieces that you want to have in place from the beginning? Or if you have been in business a while, now's the time to implement them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question and saying what you said, which is setting boundaries. That's very much how I like to think of contracts. I just did a video on this on Life Coach Lawyer. Like, contracts are boundaries, and you set boundaries for yourself. You draw a line that you stay within, and then you communicate those to other people. And a contract is exactly how you communicate that to your clients. You say, hey, these are the rules that we're going to abide by. This is what we're going to follow as we work together in this exchange of energy and money. And this is what we're going to do. And if there's any questions, then we turn to this agreement, and this is what we do. We have the guidance that we need. And you come into that proactively with your clients, and you look so informed and professional whenever you do that. So if you're a service-based business, you absolutely have to have a service contract. You need to have all of the terms and conditions laid out into everything, and how they're going to pay you, what happens if they need to cancel or reschedule. You need to have like potentially some liability waiver in there. You need to have the answers to what happens if there's a dispute. There's all kinds of things that are basically like what ifs that you have pre-answered in that contract. And you just like eliminate a lot of the stress that you may have as a business owner by having those answers already done, and having an attorney think through the things that maybe you haven't even thought of that could arise in your business, or maybe you have thought about them and they're just haunting you in the back of your mind. I feel like that's like more often the experience is, like you could be at risk. So let's just eliminate all that risk with a contract. So a service agreement for anybody who's a service-based business. A liability waiver, I feel like that's super obvious for anybody who is in like a like in-person activity of sorts. Definitely a liability waiver is a huge one. A partnership agreement, that one I do a lot of. I really like to support people, especially family and friends who are working together. The last thing I want to see is basically a divorce because something goes wrong in your business. You need to have basically all those what ifs. Once again, that really is like a great way to think about it, answered if you're working with somebody in your business, so that there's no problem if there's ever a disagreement or a dispute. The likelihood of a disagreement or a dispute, or just like a difference of opinion, is high. You're two different people with two different visions and strengths and skill sets, and you're running a business together, which is its own life form. And so you have to just kind of have all of those rules and regulations in place for yourself as you operate together. So
Yeah.
partnership agreement, service agreement, liability waiver, those are all huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even just as simple as, like you said, it's building a relationship. So having that relationship, that person that you can go to when you're maybe looking at signing a new lease, or you're looking to expand an element into a partnership, or, all of the growth stages of entrepreneurship and small business ownership, I think also really require an attorney to be that guide on the side to make sure you're making good decisions.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so you can just avoid some of those obstacles, those challenges along the way, and yeah, absolutely protect yourself. So
Yeah.
I know,
I
and
mean,
yeah.
I'm a business owner myself, so I've been there so many times where I don't know the answer. I need to go seek professional help to find the answer. And there's nothing better than just getting the answer. It's
Yeah.
so nice to just be like, oh, yeah, somebody knows this. This is their job. This is like what they're here for. This is like exactly how they make money, is to answer the questions that I don't know the answers to that are stressing me out. So
Uh,
that's what I can do, is to support a business owner. And legal's scary. I like
mhm.
absolutely get it. I feel like finance and legal are scary. Finance scares the heck out of me, so I assume people feel the same way about legal. It's like you don't even know what questions to ask, and so like I'm here to show you like, hey, these are all the things you need. Some of my flat fee packages, I feel like that's a good way to show people like, oh, like I need this, and then that comes along with this. So here's all the things that I need to think about, and just to be able to see it very clearly, like in a list form.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I think that legal is very scary for people alongside financial, and some of these things where we are not an expert, nor should we become one, to just figure out these pieces of the puzzle for our business. So we really do
Right.
have to build that board of directors, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
to help us in those areas where we're not an expert. They are. It's what they do full time. They've gone to school, or, undergone immense certifications to have that source of knowledge, and we don't need to acquire that. So we just need to go to them for that expertise and pay them and make that investment in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and our business, and not see it always as a cost, which we tend to do, and see it as an investment. Because I will tell you what, it will cost you way more to pay an attorney to, represent you in a legal dispute or a lawsuit than it will to just have them help you with the draft of
Yeah.
your um, lease from the beginning. And I can say that from personal experience, because I went through that
Yeah.
myself when I
Oh,
was 24 years old, and it was not fun, not something I would wish on anyone. So take it from me, learning from the going through it the hard way. It's worth the investment on the front side versus the costs on the back end. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. And you and I talked about this already too, but just to share with the listeners, it's like almost everybody has one of those learning experiences. And if you can get to the point where you have like a hardship that has to do with legal, and you can see it as a learning experience to where, it drives you towards the right path of going and calling a lawyer first, like you're the lucky one, and it almost, um, should I say, I mean, like, can I say this? Let's say almost all my clients like have had one of those experiences where they had to learn a hard lesson before they realized and learned that they needed to call an attorney. And that's the worst. Like, I don't want to deal with that stuff either. I actually don't deal with that stuff. I like only do the proactive stuff with people
Mm,
who want to be on top of it, and just like really dedicated to doing things the right way.
yeah.
You know, there's definitely attorneys to help in those like reactive and
Hmm.
responsive issues and cases that arise, but you want to be proactive. That's definitely the goal as a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious, what is your biggest joy in life and business right now?
Thank you for asking. And I love that these are some of your questions, these kind of like happy, emotionally based questions. And sometimes those are the hardest ones to like think of off the top of your head. And I was reflecting on this morning, and honestly, it's a great reminder to just be so grateful that I genuinely get to do whatever I want. I am my own boss, and that comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of stress and a long to-do list. And I get to do whatever I want. I get to wear whatever I want. I get to go outside whenever I want. I get to work wherever I want. I get to drink coffee whenever I want. I get to say whatever I want to my clients. I truly am in a place of privilege to be able to get to do whatever the heck I want. So I was sitting outside this morning and I was journaling and I was just reflecting on that, writing a whole list of like, I get to do this, I get to do this. I don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to do all of these things. And this is the life that I've set up for myself, that I've, designed for myself truly. And that is something to be really joyous about, to be really excited about, to be in that place of privilege.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel the same way. And there are moments where, when life does feel stressful or overwhelming, or you don't feel like what you're doing every day is what you want to be doing, like that's an opportunity to make changes. Like at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, we get to make the decisions. And sometimes they're really hard and they're not fun, but hopefully on the other side of some of those hard decisions, you get to, cultivate the life that you want and the lifestyle that you want to have alongside your business, and how the two can, help each other. And it shouldn't feel like one is taking over the other. So I think, like you said, to get to have that is a privilege. And at the end of the day, we are the creator of that, which
Mm-hmm.
is, yeah, a lot of responsibility and stress sometimes, but it's also personal power and ownership, I think, to know that,
Yeah.
if things are going off or we're feeling overworked, guess what? It's our fault. And we also get to change that.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah. And we're so lucky to have that because some people don't get to pull back if they need to. And I've like gotten myself into a pickle right now. Like I was like fully launching, growing everything, got myself signed up for all these events. And now I'm like, I do not want to go to this event. I am exhausted. I am done.
Yep.
I'm ready to just cancel it all and be done and take a break. And like the time is due for a vacation and I
Yep.
can feel my body, like my actual body telling me like, hey, we need to take a break. So figure it out,
Yep.
all of those signs of like things in your life coming up, like pay attention because your body is
Mhm.
telling you, your breath is telling you, your feelings are telling you
Yeah.
exactly what needs to happen. And like, I'm at that point now. So it
Yep.
was a great time to spend reflecting this morning of like, okay, I did do this to myself. And I'm
Yes.
super grateful that business is booming.
Yep.
Things are full to the brim. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
And you need rest.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I planned all of these things in March and April
Mhm.
before I was pregnant and not realizing like how I was going to feel those first few months. And yeah, I was totally like, you did this to yourself. I mean, obviously trying to give myself grace, but telling myself that I did it to myself gives me ownership to undo those things, or like moving forward, we're going to make some different choices. And I
Right.
feel like you're very much like me, Madison, where it's like I'm like a sprint and rest. Like I
Yeah.
can sprint for weeks, if not months, but I need those like mini rests along the way. Or I burn myself out enough times where I can feel the signs. I know the red
Yeah.
flags. And then I'm like, okay, you need to make this a priority. And like this weekend, I took basically 2 days off of work, very, very minimal time on my phone, responding to anyone. I just wanted to like replenish my energy and I feel ready to rock again. Like sometimes it
Yeah.
literally is just 1 or 2 days of like checking out and then you're ready to jump back in. So
Yeah.
just knowing yourself, which I think it sounds like you do.
Yeah. I think so. I think that, and that's a gift to be able to know yourself and to
Yeah.
know exactly like how you're aligned. And I think it
Yep.
all comes down to paying attention and just
Mhm.
actually like honoring yourself enough to like hear it and to respond to it,
Yeah.
like paying attention, just tuning in. And that's something I
Yep.
teach in Pilates a lot is like learning how to notice how you feel, just like literally where is your body at? Where is your breath?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? And do you need to make a shift?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really valid point, that I think people that are really in touch with their body and their breath and, do a lot of exercise, movement, breathing, maybe that kind of tuning in spirituality side of things, like we really do have that advantage of like listening and making decisions accordingly versus someone who never tunes into their body, never takes
Yeah.
a break, never gets quiet enough to hear their own like inner voice and that like intuition
Yeah.
just keeps going to the point of burnout. And then they become resentful and, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
downward spiral. But I think if you can really hone in on that skill, there's something to that because it will tell you what you need in all areas of your life, whether that's, you know, physical, mental, spiritual, energetically, just everything. I think that that's actually a really valid point. Like the people I know that are the most in tune with themselves take care of themselves. They're
Same.
physically active, they're mentally, you know how to downregulate, all of those things that we teach in a lot of, you know, health and wellness. I think it plays out in every area of your life.
100%. And it's all about balance. And if, everything is on a spectrum, and this is like something I really, really live by. And great darkness, which I have experienced, lets me know just how bright I can shine,
Mm.
truly. And when you're a hustling, grinding, badass entrepreneur, raking in the dough, your life is full and rambunctious and potentially, hopefully, chaotic, but maybe feels like it at times. Maybe your brain is running a million miles a minute and doing like the task analysis, like you taught us earlier, like having, being able to get yourself organized. That's amazing. That's a great first step. And you need that balance on the other end. You need to be like running a million miles an hour and slamming on the brakes at the same
Mhm.
time, or, at least equally, in order to just keep yourself going. Like we all know that basic saying of like, you have to have a full cup in order to give. And if you're a business owner, you're providing a service, you're selling something, if you want to be successful and good at that, then you better have a full cup. You better be taking really good care of yourself in order to keep it rolling. Otherwise, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to burn out. You're literally going to be a flat tire on the side of the road, like incapable of moving forward. Your body's going to get sick. Do you know how every single time I get ill or sick or like, a cold or a cough or a flu, I know it's because I'm run down.
Mhm.
Always. It's because I've been doing too much and not like giving myself the grace and time that I need to. I like have almost felt it coming a couple times like
Yeah,
in the last month because I
I
am
feel
like running and I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, we gotta rest. We gotta like go to
yeah.
sleep. Like we gotta just be done. Go take a wellness day. Just take a day off. It's gonna be okay.
Yes.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I
okay.
love the polarity of light and dark because I do think you can't fully appreciate your good times without going through hard times. And even the like the energy and the rest. So my first business was called Zen and Pow because it was both. It was like high energy
Cute.
fitness. I started with kickboxing and then it was the yoga, it was the Zen, it was the mindfulness. And even when I look at myself, I'm like, I'm both. Like I can be both. And that's how I show up fully for my clients. You know, I can push and we can get shit done. And then at the
Yeah,
end of
girl.
the day, we're gonna appreciate it and we're gonna tune back in and we're gonna relax and give us ourselves
Mm-hmm.
that time to slow down and celebrate. And I think, yeah, you're right. You need to have both, especially as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. Because if you're only one side or the other, one, you're not going to get anything done if you're just zen all the time and not doing the things
True.
and pushing the things forward. But you can't
Mm-hmm.
always push. There's so much that we
Okay.
cannot force. And we need to be able to like take our foot off the brake and just surrender a lot of it too,
Mm-hmm.
and trust the process. And so I do agree. I think you got to be both. And it doesn't necessarily mean
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be equal balanced, right? Like there might be times where one is more than the
Yeah.
other.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to have both. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said like you can't always force things. I like to remind myself and others to flow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love the ocean. I surf some things and I'm like a beginner like ocean surfer, but I like love wake surfing. And I learned that skill and that hobby as an adult, which I think is so badass. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really good tip for anybody who's struggling to teach themselves flow, that flow state of literally a frequency in your mind that you can put yourself in order to build up that creativity or get your ideas rolling. If you're feeling stuck,
Mhm.
you need to be intentionally putting yourself in flow state. So learning a new hobby,
Yeah.
surfing is like the most perfect one because that's literally what it is learning to flow, to not try and control the ocean, to just
Mhm.
ride the wave, right? And to actually flow. So I really encourage people to try and do some research and figure out a way to put yourself into that flow state, and reflect. I think that's another piece of it. And then I wanted to ask you, like, how do you do that? What do you think is a good resource or tool for people to use to reflect, to come back to that zen, to come back to that peace? I like that you can do both. Obviously, I can too. It sounds like you're a mad hippie, which is what I like to call it, obviously, because you got both, right? We all, I think, can have both. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say we all should have both, but in some capacity, there just needs to be balance.
Yeah, totally. I have recently, as an adult, taken up dance, and I love that because that's been a very like, yeah, like flowing with the music. And, some days you're just
Mm-hmm.
on the choreography and some days you're not, but just like reminding myself to have fun with it. And it's just a great way to like get out of my head and into my body. And it's been really, really soul filling. And I think for me, I've always been big on journaling, and just writing out my thoughts helps me process very easily. So that's kind of a way that I like step back and reassess. And I do a lot of brain dumping, of just all the things, and then trying to pull the pieces out of it. Like, what is this telling me? Sometimes I think I do too much introspection because I like will analyze myself, to an extreme. But also,
Yeah,
I
dude.
think it's a gift to be able to sit with your thoughts, figure out where this is coming from, how it's affecting you, and then pull the pieces out of it of like, what is this teaching me? What
Mm-hmm.
changes do I need to make? And sometimes you just need to verbalize it too. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think we could all do more introspection on ourselves, and it would help us greatly.
I agree. I agree. I'm like you in the sense of, like, sometimes I'm I don't like to say overthinking. I like to say, like, being thoughtful. I feel like that's
Mhm.
a good shift, and how you can think about that. I'm overly thoughtful
Yeah.
in the introspection, right? Sometimes I get a little stuck in that. And in those times, well, the example that I think of is I was literally in traffic driving down the freeway in traffic post yoga. Your mind is like going post yoga. And I was just thinking about all the world's problems. And I'm like, why? Why can't I just quiet it all down and just like be in the present moment? And that's what I come back to. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why a present moment practice and mindfulness is so incredibly important. And I'm like, I'll catch myself when I'm in those spaces of just being overly introspective, present moment,
Yeah.
gratitude,
Yep.
reflection, like come back to that. And so not every tool is always the right fit.
Yep.
Sometimes
Exactly.
you can take one too far. You have to do them all within balance and
Hmm.
bring the right one and call upon the best one for you in those specific moments of life.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for you? Like, what's on your either life list or business list of things that you want to, chase after?
Well, I think life is a big one. I'm in the midst of healing from some pretty extreme family trauma that I like can't even talk about because it's like criminal.
Mm.
I'm in the midst of that. So I'm in the process of healing pretty hardcore right now, and it's exhausting on its own. But I do have something super exciting to look forward to, which my husband and I have done a really good job about always doing that for ourselves, setting something away in the future to look forward to. And we're going to go to Bali and make a baby.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
So
I love it.
it's so exciting. So we've been together this year, like in 2024, we'll be 10 years together and
Yeah.
5 years married. We got married on our 5 year anniversary, which, like October 5th. So 5 on 5. And so we didn't get to go on our honeymoon, and it all worked out so perfectly because now we're super excited for like what has become. And the anticipation has been great, delayed
Yeah.
gratification. So we got married fall of 2019. We were going to go on our honeymoon to Bali and do this trip summer of 2020. So obviously that got canceled. We got all our money
Yeah.
back, and we're like, you know what? We're just going to go on our honeymoon and make it a honeymoon when we're ready to go make a baby.
Yeah.
So we're super excited for that. We're leaving in July. We'll be gone the whole second half of July to August 1st. We've got a countdown going on the fridge, and like
That's
we're
so
thinking about all the
exciting.
baby stuff, and yeah, we're just getting super excited for what's to come in this next chapter. And that's next on the list. So just keeping everything together for now, planning for the
Yeah.
vacation, and then, you know, I think big shifts will happen whenever we get pregnant, and
Yeah.
we'll see how priorities change and what's to come with the businesses. I think they'll continue to grow and prosper. So that's a life thing to look forward to. And the other thing we're working on really diligently right now that needs arise is business flows, right? And one of the things that I've realized that my clients need is template contracts from me that are easy to read, affordable. You mentioned that about how Sunshine Law Firm operates. Absolutely affordable, the most affordable legal services that I've found. I'm shamelessly undercutting the market because I think it's unethical. I think
Mm.
it's pretty crappy that lawyers sit on such a high horse in their castles on their thrones. Like I'm with the people. I'm a first generation college student. I'm a first generation lawyer. People always ask me like, "Oh, do you have family that are attorneys?" And I'm like, "No, I grew up dirt poor. I'm a country kid. Like this stuff should be accessible. It should be easy to read. It should be affordable." And so I'm going to do something and create a contract store where give
Cool.
those people like
Yeah.
the basic contracts. Not every contract can be a template. Some are more complicated than others, like a partnership agreement. There's really no great way that I found yet to do
Yeah.
that as a template agreement, but I might be able to find a way to do it in the future. But we're going to start with just some really basic contracts and just make them as affordable as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Probably piss off some other attorneys because we make them so cheap, and that's what we're working on. So we're going to try and get that done within the next 2 weeks, get it all up and running, and then also give myself another opportunity for a digital download and some more
Yeah.
passive income, which, you know, I always like to be honest about what I'm doing myself as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, like passive income. That's
Yeah.
hugely important. So two things to be super excited for us.
That is so awesome. I have to tell you. So, my husband and I will be celebrating 10 years together this November.
Yeah,
We
we're so
got
close.
married in 2020. So, we got married after 6 years of
Mm.
dating on our dating anniversary.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we were going to do our honeymoon. Obviously, we didn't do one after our wedding because we wanted to go when there was going to be no COVID restrictions on anything anywhere. So, we actually went this past year on our anniversary to Puerto Rico. And then 3 months later, we, you know, basically had a baby. So it's, I think it's all going to work out for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That is incredible. I've never heard of anybody else that's got married on their dating anniversary. It's so
Yep.
fun to share the anniversary. So
Yes,
you
it is.
got married on your 6 year anniversary and you've been together 10 years. So look at us. We're
Yeah.
so aligned in so many
And
ways. And then yeah,
yeah,
tell me.
our baby could be due on that day because my due date is October 29th. But if it's,
Wow.
even a week late, it almost lands on that day. So who knows what will happen, but I just
Wow.
believe in all the divine timing of everything. So
Fabulous. You're going to have a very busy October, November. We always have a very full October too. It's my husband's birthday
yeah,
2 days before also. So we just party all October and it's the freaking best. We just set
yeah,
that month aside to just go celebrate life. And it's always so fun. And then it's the holidays and then it's my
yeah,
birthday and then it's craziness. And so
it's so
yeah,
fun. I
I
love it.
love it. Oh, I'm so excited for you. And I'm grateful that you're, a couple months ahead of me. So I'll be able to learn from you as an entrepreneur and a
Yeah,
mama and doing it all and thriving,
hopefully, yes.
balancing. Definitely, yeah.
One of my
Cool.
favorite questions to ask is, what are you most proud of about yourself?
What am I most proud of about myself? Honestly, I think just my voice. The fact that I am the kind of person that says what needs to be said and that I'm honest and open and vulnerable and brave. I think that has given me a lot of power in this life. I'm always the person in class on a Zoom meeting to raise my hand, to ask the
Yeah.
question, to answer the question, to go first if I need to
Mhm.
just be confident enough and brave enough to be open and to just go for it and to just lean into who I am and to be okay with who I am, to be proud of who I am. And my thoughts, like what you say is a reflection of your thoughts. And if it's not your thoughts exactly, which it is for me, because I just, say it all out loud as I think it. But I think it's that. I think it's my voice and the ability to just be vocal. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. Well, I love that you are authentically you and willing to show up and share just as you are and what comes to mind. And I think that more of us could do more of that and it would only serve the world. So, I mean, I'm grateful that we were able to connect on a call just because you were probably willing to share and open up, which I try to do as well. So, I really appreciate that about you. And I think the world needs more of that mad hippie energy. So, I love it.
Thank you
My
so much.
yes, my final question is what drives your soul today? What do you get up for each morning?
I love that. I love thinking about that. I love tuning in to myself and like what I need. So I think what's driving my soul right now is that this chapter of being like just Madison is coming to an end and approaching Madison and motherhood is coming soon. It like makes me like tear up. Probably you too, being
Yeah.
pregnant yourself, but just knowing that like my life is going to change so much in the coming
Mhm.
year and that everything that I've ever wanted is here.
Yeah.
Truly, like all of my dreams have come true. And now I am in the place and privileged to help other people make their dreams come true. And that is such an honor and such a gift. So
Mhm.
the fact that I get to show up every day and do that wherever I want, wherever I want, however I want, wearing whatever I want, it's so awesome. So that
Yeah.
keeps me rolling for sure. Keeps me getting out of bed, hopefully with on the right side of bed
Yeah.
with some
I
coffee,
love it.
of
Well,
course.
thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you.
time, your energy, your experience, and expertise with us today. I'm sure our listeners want to know where to follow and connect with you. So tell us where to find you.
Yeah. So I think the best place to go is just lifecoachlawyer.net. If you're looking just directly for the website, you can book a call right away. Instagram, Life Coach Lawyer. That's the best place because all my other businesses are linked from there. If you're looking for legal needs specifically, you can just go directly follow Sunshine Law Firm. But generally, Life Coach Lawyer is the best because we do it all there.
I love it. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Soul Driven with Steph. Until next time, keep following what drives your soul.